Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Cooper. Welcome to the Sharpen Podcast, brought to you by Acumen, an exclusive community of CEOs and business owners to help you grow your top line, optimize your bottom line, and enrich your storyline. On this episode, we're going to talk about experiencing the phases of revenue growth from $5 to $150 million. And to do that today, my guest is Billy Hodes, former partner, CEO, and then CMO of Midland Industries, a family of companies that includes Anderson Metals, Midland Metal Manufacturing, Buchanan Rubber, Mid-America Fittings, and Stainless Adapters Inc. I think that's all of them. He exited after partnering with private equity to build out a platform, all of which companies I just mentioned, and they recently sold. And now he is a growth catalyst, which is our fancy word for a team leader or a facilitator starting a new CEO team in Kansas City. Billy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dan. Very happy to be with you today.
So that's quite the intro. That's a bunch of companies. So I'm excited to unpack like how you go from one to many, because that's one way to play the game. So before we dig in, give us a quick tour of how you got to here and just kind of a high level overview before we get into the details.
All right. Well, I'm blessed. I'm a very blessed man. I grew up in a family full of love and support, and so starting out from there, just got into the business world, buying my first business in 2002. It was pretty ugly. It was a distressed company, but I was young and naive enough to go ahead and dive in. I owned and operated that business for about 12 years on my own independently, and in 2015 merged that company with a larger company. Took on after that the CMO, the marketing role for the entity. We about 3 years later took on a private equity partner, sold a majority of the business, kept a chunk of it, used our platform of great people, technology, process-oriented company to go out and roll up 7 other businesses over 4 years, and then as we prepared to sell again in 22, resigned, left the active part of the company, stayed on the board, and then that company sold again. Midland sold again in November 23. So that was the end of my Midland Industries story, and moving on to bigger and better things.
We're glad to have you here. So let's go into the Wayback Machine in 2002. So Midland Manufacturing, when you originally bought it, was distressed, and you said the words ugly. What about it was ugly? And well, let's just start there. Why? What's ugly?
Well, the balance sheet for one. It was hemorrhaging cash, so it had been kind of carved out, kind of the stepchild of what was a healthier company. So it was carved out, and really, the owner was considering just liquidating and shutting it down. But I had modeled it and found a partner to finance my entity and to dig in, and so it was tough. It had I modeled it as a 2-year turnaround. So not only was it in debt when I purchased it, it was hemorrhaging cash. It was imbalanced inventory, a lot of issues. But I saw an opportunity, and had a banking partner that believed in me. And so it took me a couple of years to get it to the black, but I got there, and then just kept reinvesting with good people, with good additional product lines and good customers, and just plugged away for several years, just reinvesting and getting it to a stable place where I could really start working on it instead of in it.
So where was the point in the growth that you felt the flywheel was there? So, if we're doing this first step function, let's call it the 5 to 50 million, right? It's like this first tranche of your growth. When did you feel like the flywheel was working? And then how did your mindset change? Because there's a lot of grinding in that, getting it into the black. And then all of a sudden you're ready for phase two. So what happened?
Yeah, it was, like I said, a couple of years to get back into the black and then a couple of years of reinvesting. So I would say around 2006, 2007 is when I really, was able to go from defense to offense and start working on it and reinvesting in it. And so that mindset, that change was different. I also coincidentally had the support of a peer advisory group, which I went from being a new business owner, young guy who thought I had a really good business model and everything was going to go just perfectly, just the way I had spelled it out in that plan, and soon found out it wasn't going that way, and I needed some help and support to help me not only on business decisions but to calm my stress level personally, and so that support was the differentiator. I mean, if had I not had that, I would not be here talking to you today. It was a great help, a great support. And so then from there, just finding the right people to help me realize my plan. And the people and the culture throughout my professional career is really what I attribute to. My dad used to say, "Hey, hire people smarter than you," and I never had a problem doing that for some reason. Bringing on good, smart people and depending on them, empowering them to play their role and help it along the way is has been a real blessing.
Okay, so you had some catalysts in there. One is people and team. I mean, these are things that we all know, and yet they're great reminders, right? People and team culture, and then coming around a community of other people that can poke you. Say more about the culture piece. Everybody gets team, hiring people smarter than you, getting in a community. Obviously, we are violently biased that that is a wise thing to do. The culture piece a lot of times is fuzzy, and that means different things to different people. So what did it mean to you?
Everything. I mean, the just enjoying what we do. We're putting 50, 60 hours a week into this thing we call business, into working together to advance the business, advance each other. So you might as well do it with people that you like and love and respect, and you might as well have fun while you're doing it. And in order to do that, you gotta have a culture that people are attracted to, that they don't want to come and go. You retain good talent, and so uh, and I attribute, in 2015 when we merged, I merged with a larger company that just happened to be run by my brother Vince,
Ah,
and he he's a great leader and he's a great man. He's a very generous guy, and so he gave birth to this the our bonus program that we operated on, which really, when it comes, we knew what our overhead was, we knew what our break even point was, and so we were able to establish this bonus program that was very transparent. Everybody knew where the dollars were, where our break even was, what their shares were, so that usually about the third week of every month, we had broken even. We were were then from that day forward contributing to the bonus program. And so a lot of us, we were making about 50% of our income on our salary, right? And about 50% of our income on that bonus program. And the
Mm,
bonus program was a performance bonus. The company had to perform and produce cash for it to grow. And so everybody had the attitude of an owner. Everybody was empowered to make a difference, meaning, hey, we could go hire another sales guy, or we could bring in another person on customer service, but that's going to increase our overhead. Can we get more efficient? Can we use technology to do a better job? Can we create a better process to do that? So it really empowered everybody to think like a business owner. And that was very fruitful. I mean, it at first, allowed us to retain really good people, and it empowered people every day to be as efficient and profitable as possible, and to support each other, to help each other out. So it was the differentiator. It created the culture that 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 we had. It 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 was our differentiator. And when tough times come, like 2008 rolled around, COVID, rolled around, and we never let anybody go. We never had to fire anybody because of the implications of a tough market or a COVID. We may not have made enough money. That bonus pool may have been smaller, but everybody had a job and everybody had their benefits, and that was pretty powerful.
that is definitely unique. As you talk about it, it feels very Aesop-like, and yet it's open book management at its classic implementation, because you're playing a game at that point, and everybody's really interested in that score. I imagine it by week three.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go backwards a little bit before the merger in 2015. Um, what didn't you know at that point that you wish you did, or what wisdom would you give kind of in this first phase of launch and ramp up and scale up?
Yeah, I think the what got us there was really good and powerful. It wasn't exactly what was going to get us to where we were going. And so to know that before we had to, figure it out the hard way, um, a lot of the fundamentals of transparency and team building were great, but also, um, you know, the need for growth, for expanding our team, for expanding our technology. We probably could have jumped on some of those before we drug ourselves through the valley of death, and had the experience to tell us, okay, maybe we need to do something better and different here.
Yeah, that's I mean that's every business all the time. The coulda, woulda, shoulda. You look back and you can't get where you are until you've been where you've been. And so um that is always the crux. Okay, so let's flip over into this next phase. So where are you at the beginning of the merger? Just kind of employees revenue wise, and then where did it start to go?
So at the merger, we were about 10 million, merging with about a $40 million company. So, and we had similar product lines, different markets. Our skill sets really complemented each other, and so we we had sown our entrepreneurial oats. We were ready to uh, uh, work together and conquer some more things in life. we we were blessed to have our people really, the merger itself, as scary as it was kind of a test run for what we were hoping would come and further, acquisitions to bolt on other product lines and some domestic manufacturing. And what we didn't know is that little test run and what would lead to things that we didn't see, weren't on our radar. We were experiencing, always had some really positive, strong organic growth. And we were a family-owned business. We had a lot of brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews working in the business, a lot of, employees and their kids working in the business. So it was a true family business, tight knit operation. And so along came in about 2017, we were approached by a private equity company. They recognized us as a leader in the industry. We had a young, strong management team. We were profitable. We were technologically driven. And they were looking for a company like us to enter into the industrial distribution market. And so we were flattered, but we said, no, we're just a simple family-owned business. We're going to stay that way. And so they said, okay, great. And they went on their way and went out and bought a competitor of ours. And then came back about a year later and said, okay, we really need a good, strong platform to grow our way into this market. And so we negotiated a great deal and decided to make the leap. And we thought it would be a great thing for our employees, for our company, for us, and a great platform to go out and serve our market well. So we made that leap in November of 2018. We sold a majority of the business. We had a great partnership with our private equity partners. They were at a Chicago Wind Church. They were also, a young management team. They were aggressive and they were pretty hands off. I mean, they recognized that we had good roots in our industry. We had a good handle on our company, and so they kind of gave us the checkbook and said, "All right, go out and execute that plan that you had to go roll up some companies." And so we had, like I said, we had great people. We had our business development, our sales side. Our leaders were fantastic. They had established some deep roots in certain trade organizations and buying groups, and really had some very trustworthy people that we reached out to and said, "Hey, look, we've got a great opportunity to provide you a succession plan, provide you an opportunity to, increase the value of your business and to be a part of the journey we're going to take here over the next 5 or 6 years." And so we were able to attract and partner with a lot of great folks that we ended up acquiring, rolling onto the platform and working together to build a great company and then to exit together. So we were able to not only realize some great things for our employees, our management team, but other partners as we rolled them up and moved forward. It was a very fruitful venture.
Mm, mm. You talk about it very positively. So your mindset going from merger to building platforms, going from operator to on the business to, now thinking platform and then thinking succession. Those are all different places in your head and in your heart, honestly. So how did you transition from place to place Uh, yeah, is there anything in there?
Well, yeah, there's a lot in there. But I think the best way to describe it is the culture, the level of trust that we had in each other and in the process, um, from our leadership to our, just everybody involved. We had just a great team of people, and we had built a level of trust with each other, that really was the catalyst for us moving forward and doing the things that we did. We had never we didn't have the experience of acquiring 7 businesses in 3 or 4 years. We didn't have the experience of building out a platform and entering new markets, and but we did have a lot of faith in each other. We did have a great team. We were able to build out onto that team and put the right people in the right seats. And so, yeah, I think it just came down to that level of trust where we were able to depend on each other to move forward, and all work with and around and through each other to achieve great things.
So you said something interesting, and we talk about this in Acumen from time to time. So there's two philosophies when it comes to family in the company and allowing other people's families. Your culture is so good that they want their family or their kids or their neighbors to come work in it because they're like, I love where I work, come work where I work. And then they stay because they have friends at work and they're all holding each other accountable. Then the other side of that is like, oh my gosh, we would destroy each other and never talk to each other, and Christmases would be like terrible and done, and we'll never ever, and we'll ruin the family with this thing that has that money and ego and stuff tied to it. So it sounds like you're in the former, but it's usually not that clean. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen the horror stories of family businesses. There's probably more unsuccessful family businesses and transitions and succession plans than there are successful ones. And having seen some of those unsuccessful stories and the just the destruction that comes of that, you know, it gives you a perspective of what you don't want to do or what you don't want to become. But then also just the values that we grew up in. I mean, I knew working with, my brother as my partner. I knew who he was. I knew the values there. I knew how strong of a leader he was and where his intentions were, and he knew mine. And that's part of who we attracted. Our team took on that that face, and so it was great. We also had the we had seen it both in my family and in other companies that we're close to, that 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 can show its face in different ways, and things can change, and people get motivated by by money or by greed or by power. We had a stronger sense of trust. We had a stronger sense of valuing the greater good, and not what's good for us, but what's good for everybody.
Always good to hear the good versions of that because we all know the bad versions. You usually don't brag about it when it's great. You just hear the story of like how it fell apart and the divorce happened and nobody talks anymore. So
Yeah.
it's fun to hear the good stories too.
Yes.
Okay, so Acumen's a plain glass organization. It's people, it's performance, it's profit, it's excellent. And we talk about this stained glass heart, which just means that we're on the Jesus journey and we're just trying the best to live out the values that the standard that's set, even though we're all broken at the foot of this cross. So
Hmm.
um how do you integrate this work and faith thing, and how does that emanate what's inside come outside?
Well, I think that comes back to the way I was raised, the values that I was taught, strong work ethic, but really, you know, I come from a Jesuit education, both at high school and college, and I've heard our friend Sean Miller say the same thing, but really, the Jesuits beat it into your head, and the message is basically to serve God by serving others, and everything we do for the greater glory of God. And me and a lot of the people I've surrounded with myself with in this world, and my family included, it's a mantra that we truly try to live by. Of course, we fail, we get distracted, but to have that kind of North Star mantra to live by and live up to and lean into is, I think, been a result of my success, of the company's success.
The Jesuits definitely do a fantastic job of beating it into is probably the appropriate term that you would use. I could see that. It's very cool. Okay. So where can our listeners find out more about you, Billy?
Well, the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. You can go to billyhodes.com, but that is my son, Billy. He's a great artist, but that is not me. Um, so LinkedIn is probably the best way to find me, and then on the Acumen website, acumenimpact.com.
Cool. So here's some takeaways. One, this entrepreneurial mindset is a thing, and you might even buy or get involved into a 4 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 company, as long as you believe in the model. And so I think it's interesting. A lot of people are looking for 8 out of 10s now, and that's not where the opportunity is. Opportunity is at 4 or 6. Two, this bonus program, this open book management, or you implemented it early. Um, Most people they want to keep it all closed because they don't know what it will do. So that 50-50 is fantastic. And then this just culture retention thing you have. When other people want to invite other people that they know, like, and trust to come work with them, you're winning. And then all the other stuff happens. So appreciate you sharing all of that kind of that information. Is there anything I didn't ask you? I don't know. What is any words of wisdom of somebody who's kind of beginning their journey right now?
Yeah, I would say, surround yourself with people that you know and trust, and give yourself the support. This is a can be a daunting journey, the journey of life itself, but especially the journey of business ownership. It does not have to be something you do alone, and I would not recommend or suggest it. Surround yourself with good people that you trust and have confidence in, and share your pain. Seek help and advice, and that turns out will be a more fruitful and productive and better way to go on and live this journey. So yeah, don't do it alone. Don't do that to yourself.
Uh, that's good advice because this is not just about the business, because it's also about your marriage, it's about your kids, and it's about your health, and then and it's all wrapped up into this one thing that we think is just this company, but it's everything. It's the whole thing. That's why other people help. So that's a great tip, Billy. If you are interested in becoming a member of Acumen, a community of people that you could get to know, like, and trust, you can go to acumenimpact.com and click on the apply button. Or if you just like to learn more, we have a ton of great content under the resources tab. And of course, if you are ready, Billy Hodes is putting a team together. As
Let's
you could
go. Come
heard
on.
today, it's going to be a bunch of ballers in there. So if you'd like to be a part of this baller network, we would would love to connect you guys together. So Billy, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you, Dan.
You bet. Peace.